the mighty, mighty Baltimore Ravens. Guys, this was a game. This was a great game. I did not have a dog in this fight, but I knew people that had dogs in this fight. My man Ant had a dog in the fight. My man Carson had a dog in the fight. Alpha Rob had a dog and like in the fight. And me and Carson were texting, and he was on his edge of his seat all game long. And me, as just a fan, was on the edge of the seat all game long. But the Buffalo Bills guys did outlast the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC divisional playoff battle, and they came out on top 27-25. Many of the pundits out there, many of the experts out there are going to say that Lamar Jackson cost them the game. Lamar Jackson did this, Lamar Jackson did that. And me, as one of the biggest Lamar Jackson haters out there, as I've been deemed, which I don't think I am, I'm just a realist, but I can anticipate a lot of you people thinking of where I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson tonight, right? But let's just cut to the case. Lamar Jackson ended up with 254 yards passing last night with another 39 rushing yards, which he was the offense, right? The whole second half, he was the offense. Simple as that. He led the Ravens down the field with just minutes left in the game for them to a chance to tie the game. They missed the 2-point conversion. Mark Andrews dropped a wide open pass. Two missed 2-point conversions in that game. But on top of that, Lamar Jackson did have 2 big turnovers in the first half. One interception where I don't know if it was a misread by Lamar or the receiver ran the wrong route. Either way, interception, and then the fumble that led to that 6 points as well. So the question that I want to ask you guys this. When we look at Lamar Jackson, he has been to the big game one time, meaning the AFC Championship game. He had every opportunity to get there this year and previous years. But let me ask you guys this question. Will Lamar Jackson ever win a big game in the playoffs? I'm talking about just a big game in general versus the Kansas City Chiefs, versus the Buffalo Bills. Hell, you could probably put the Houston Texans in there too, right? Moving forward. Will Lamar Jackson ever win a big game in the playoffs and ever make it to the AFC Championship game again? Maybe even let alone make it to the Super Bowl. Will he ever win the big game? Guys, when you look at Lamar Jackson's postseason career, he is 3-5 in the postseason. He has 3 wild card wins, or he has 3 opening game wins. Last year, they were obviously the first round bye. They played the divisional round. Then they won that game, and then they made it to the second round, which is the AFC Championship game. In those second games, guys, Lamar Jackson is 0-3. 0-3. He has not won a second game in the playoffs ever in his career. His team averages just 12 points a game in those second games. Him, on the other hand, has a 1-to-1 ratio of touchdowns to interceptions. He has 3 touchdowns to 3 interceptions in those second games. He also only averages 42 rushing yards in those games as well. In the opening games, he is 3-2. He officially is a winning quarterback in the playoffs in the first game of the playoffs. He has 7 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, and he averages 102 yards rushing on the ground. Side note, Lamar Jackson is 0-6 when trailing by double digits at the half in any point of this season, right? Whether it's regular season, postseason, in general. So, guys, will Lamar Jackson ever win the big game? Will he ever make it to the Super Bowl? Well, will he ever make the AFC Championship game? Or win the AFC Championship game? And the more I think about it, the more I want to say no. The more I look at other teams and stats and this and this and this, I want to say no. This year was the prime example. I don't know if it's Harbaugh. I don't know if it's Lamar. I don't know if it's just the culture in Baltimore in general. But for whatever reason, in that second game in the playoffs, they changed everything that they've done all season long to get to that point, and they totally change it. Derrick Henry had 16 touches in that game. Yes, he ended up rushing for like 84 yards, right? Whatever. But in that third quarter, that one drive alone, he had 60 yards. Derrick Henry was pretty much a non-factor. They're like, yeah, Derrick Henry, I know you are the king. I know we want you to call you Lightning McQueen now. We know that you get better in the fourth quarter, but you know what? We're not going to give you the ball. Lamar, we're paying you $500 million a season. go into this game. And guys, Lamar is not that type of player. Yes, he has spectacular moments. He has moments on the field that I cannot even fathom thinking in my head. Hell, have we even seen it on Madden? It's just crazy what he can do on the field. But when it comes nut crunch time, when it comes to 2-minute offense, when it comes to this and this and this, he just is a bad quarterback. And I understand he had that drive last night that could potentially seal the deal, meaning take the game into overtime. That was a great drive. I don't know what the Buffalo Bills were doing on that drive. They weren't rushing Von Miller. He was dropping back in coverage. They were playing some soft-ass zone, rushing 3 guys with like 2.5 minutes left, and they're just like, oh yeah, here you guys, just go score. But guys, the simple fact of the matter is that Lamar will never win a big game. He will never win a big game ever because of this right here. Because of this simple thing right here. Did I download it? Yes. Can you guys hear that?
All year, this team has heard.
Yeah, that's Josh Allen. Boom, boom, boom. Hang on. There we go.
In situations like this, turnovers play a factor. Penalties play a factor. Tonight, the turnovers can't have that, and that's why we lost the game. Because as you can see, we're moving the ball wonderfully. Is hold on to the ball. I'm sorry for my language. Annoying. I'm tired of.
That right there, guys, is the exact reason why Lamar Jackson will never win a big game. That right there is the exact reason why Lamar Jackson will never win a big game in the NFL ever. Because it's never his fault. Now, you can take that comment several ways, right? They were driving down the field and we turned the ball over. Is that him saying, yeah, I threw the interception, yeah, I fumbled it? Probably not. But he was probably pointing all the blame on Mark Andrews, right? He was 100 to me in that interview. All the blame was going to somebody else, whether it's Mark Andrews, whether it's Derrick Henry, whether it's the defense, whether it is the coaching staff. Lamar Jackson took zero blame for that. On the opposite side, Josh Allen said, yeah, our defense played great. Our special teams played great. Our offense played great. I played bad, but they all rallied around me and stepped me up. They've been doing it all season long. You will never hear Lamar Jackson say that. You will never hear Lamar Jackson say, yeah, Zay Flowers had a great catch because I threw a bad pass. You will never hear him say, yeah, Derrick Henry carried our team all season long. You will never hear him say, yeah, we had great special teams play, right? That is why I do not like Lamar Jackson. That interview right there is the prime reason why I do not like him. It's never his fault, always somebody else's fault. Until he matures, until he understands how to actually play the game of football in this big spotlight and not worry about me, worry about us. Guys, the Baltimore Ravens will be not a one and done, but they'll be a 2 and done in the playoffs year after year after year. The reason I say 2 and done is because they will probably make it that they will probably win their division and they'll play another game like versus the Chargers or versus the Broncos or maybe the Miami Dolphins, some subpar AFC team. And they'll get that win. All the hype will be rallied around them. And then they got to go and play the Buffalo Bills, or the Buffalo Bills come into town, or the Chiefs come into town. And they're just flat out superior. They're more mature. They're better coached. And they got a better head on their shoulders. I'm not trying to sound racist or whatever, right? It's just the simple fact of the matter is that he is not mature. So guys, let me ask you this question. Do you guys think Lamar Jackson will ever win the big game? Me, I'm going to waffle around. It's Waffle Monday, right? No, but I'm going to say no. He will not win a big game as he's currently constructed, meaning blame everybody else, but praise me when we win. But when we lose, it's his fault. It's his fault. It's like it's like it's his fault. I can only do so much. Stop it. JM says Mahomes was pretty bad the last time they played the Bills. He was. The Buffalo Bills outplayed the Kansas City Chiefs every aspect of that game. Was that week 11, week 12? But yeah, 100%. Alpha Rob says, I told you the Bills cannot stop the run, or they can stop the run when they want to. Alpha Rob, the Buffalo Bills balled out. The Buffalo Bills stepped up and they played their game. Now, let's just be honest, Alpha Rob, that third quarter, everybody and their dog, if you're rooting for the Buffalo Bills, you were a little bit nervous. You saw Derrick Henry run down your throats. But then the Ravens were like, that's enough of Derrick Henry. You guys got that little appetizer. Main course is Lamar. Come on now. Alpha Rob says, no, he will not ever win a big game. And I can see it now, Buck, because I'm going to clip this, and I'm going to say Lamar will never win a big game, right? And I'm going to be called a hater. I'm going to be called this and this and this. I can already tell, right? But the simple fact of the matter is Lamar Jackson is a very, very good talent. I don't want anybody to get that twisted. He's a very, very good talent. He can push the ball well down the field. He has the greatest athletic ability I've ever seen come out of anybody, right? It's just, he is an amazing scrambler athlete, just a freak of nature, right? But when you cannot own up to mistakes, when you cannot elevate players around you, when you cannot do the simple things to make the rest of the team better, you will never, ever be good. You will never be good. As simple as that. Jim says, here we are acting like if you don't win the ship, it's a waste. As a player, sure, you only have so many years, but as a fan, all you can ask for is a chance to provide these players to be in the conversation. Jim, I know a lot of Baltimore Ravens fans that have been wanting to fire Coach Harbaugh for the last 5-6 years. I believe they're calling him hard bum, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because he also shits the bed in the playoffs. Whether it's not getting his team together, put out a good game plan, maybe not holding Lamar Jackson accountable. Somewhere there is a marriage issue, right? Somewhere there is a barrier that we just cannot get through. And sometimes, kind of like in life, Jim, right? You and your wife, we are great from 8 o'clock in the morning to about 11 o'clock at night. But when it's time to go to bed, the day's been long. She's a little cranky. I'm a little cranky. You're a little cranky, right? We just start to butt heads, and then we wake up and we're kind of just upset with each other at 8 o'clock in the morning. But then we have a good day. We get out, spread our wings, and we're happy again. But then in the back of our heads, like, man, is she on 8? Like, either way, the marriage in Baltimore is not 100%. It's 90%. It's 90% great. We keep bringing in outside influences, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, right? The defense wasn't very good, but our offense is clicking. Todd Monken, right? But something in Baltimore is just not clicking. And I don't know if that needs a coaching change. I don't know if that's a Lamar change. I don't know what it is, but something needs to change if the Baltimore Ravens are ever going to do it. And obviously, you are not going to trade Lamar Jackson, right? I think it's pretty clear that they want Lamar Jackson. They paid him 4-year, $325 million deal or whatever it was. Harbaugh has got to be the issue. And John says the weather played a big factor. Yes, before he retires. So, John, as the weather does play a factor in these games, the ball gets wet, it's harder to catch. The ball gets cold, it's harder, like it hurts your hands, right? The coldness, the weather, whatever affects the game. But it's not like it was just cold and snowy for Baltimore. It's not like it only snowed and was cold when Baltimore came in, and then when the Bills came out, the dome came over, the heater started blasting 110 degrees to melt all the snow. The weather played a factor for everybody. The weather played a factor for everybody. So I don't want to hear the weather story. Oh, it snowed. It is. He never played a game below 26 degrees and won before. Who cares? Who cares? If you want to not play in the cold, how about this? Win a game. Get the second seed. Get the first seed. Oh, by the way, it would have been snowing in Baltimore that particular day too, John. It would have been cold in Baltimore. So I'm not for sure how the weather played a factor either. Either way, stop. That is crazy. Laura says he has potential to get to the big game, and I think he will happen soon. He's got to get rid of whatever jitters is causing his failures. And Laura, I have been in big games. In high school, I went to 4 state championships. Never won one of them. Always got blown out in the state championship, but damn it, we always got there. In junior college, we were 11-1. Made it to the junior college national championship, but never won it. When I was at D1 at K-State, we went to the bowl game, never won it. Now, I'm not saying that is all on me, but me personally, it's in the back of your head, right? I know I'm better than them. I know I'm bigger. I know I'm faster. I know I worked harder. I know I've done this, and this. I know I'm better than you, but in the back of my head, I'm like, damn, here we go again. Never once did I get over that hump. Never once was I able to put a hardware on my hand. Never once was I able to hold up a national championship or a bowl championship. Or it never happened. It never happened. Now, is that a failure? Is that jitters? No. Sometimes we just ran into a buzzsaw. In high school, we ran into a buzzsaw. Teams were better than us. It is what it is. And unfortunately, Lamar Jackson might be in that same boat. Look at the AFC, guys. You have the Chiefs, you have the Bengals, you have the Browns, you have the Bills, you have potentially the Miami Dolphins. You have teams that will eat you up and spit you out any chance they can get. And unfortunately, it is what it is. But I don't know if it's jitters. It's definitely not jitters. It's definitely a whole head thing, right? Alpha Rob says he only beat Ryan Tannehill, rookie CJ Stroud, and Russ. You are right. I mean, granted that's not saying a whole lot, right? You still won those games. The Tennessee Titans were still in the playoffs. The Houston Texans were still in the playoffs. Russell Wilson was still in the playoffs. But it is what it is, right? James Frank says, I believe he will win a big game. I believe he will make it to the Super Bowl, says James. And James, let me ask you this, because you are a Cleveland Brown fan. Honestly, you guys are a quarterback away from being a really, really good team. Let's just be honest. If the Ravens were to go to the Super Bowl, and let's say the Chiefs have a down year, right? They're 10-7. Let's say the Buffalo Bills have a good season, but they've been kind of just floundering around, right? And let's say it comes down to the Browns versus Ravens in the AFC Championship game, and the Ravens take the title, right? Then would the hypocrites talk about like, oh, yeah, you got there, but you didn't have to play the Chiefs. Yeah, you got there, but you didn't have to play Joe Burrow. Yeah, you got there, but you didn't have to play the Buffalo Bills, right? The only way Lamar Jackson's legacy will ever be stabilized and deemed a success is if he beats Patrick Mahomes, if he beats Josh Allen, or if he beats Joe Burrow, right? He can make it all he wants, but he has to beat those teams too, right? And our resident Baltimore Ravens fan says, I believe he will, meaning he will make the big game. It takes time. How much time do you need, right? That's the real question. Peyton didn't win his first ring until his 9th year and had a bad playoff record. He turned it around and was a Hall of Famer. And obviously, Peyton Manning to me is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I have him on my wall right here for a reason. I think he is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. There's a difference between Lamar Jackson and Peyton Manning. The difference is Peyton Manning is a leader among men. Peyton Manning held people accountable. Peyton Manning elevated the play of everybody around him. Without you being, or try to be the unbiased potentially that you can be, does Lamar Jackson lead men? Does Lamar Jackson hold people accountable? Does Lamar Jackson elevate the level of play with people around him? I'm going to say no, no, and no. He does not lead them. He does not elevate their play, and he does not hold them accountable. That's the difference between a great quarterback winning championships or a great quarterback losing out in the divisional round or the second playoff game year after year after year. That is the difference just between Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. That's the difference between Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. They hold people accountable. Jim says your problem with Lamar is in your own head. No, my problem with Lamar is he does not hold people accountable, Jim. He always blames everybody else. Even when he was here in Louisville, Kentucky, Jim. You are a Louisville native or a Kentucky native. We saw all the hype around Lamar Jackson, 10 years ago or whatever it was. Never once did he hold anybody accountable. It was, oh yeah, it's Lamar Jackson. You're the greatest thing since sliced bread. It was always put him up on this pedestal. Living rent-free in my head. He's not living rent-free. I'm just saying. James says, I hate Lamar twice a year, but I got nothing but respect. Dude has done nothing but evolve. I get he made a mistake, but he'll get his time. And James, I would agree with you if he would hold himself accountable. If Mark Andrews would have caught that ball, we would have won that game. Stop it. If Mark Andrews wouldn't have fumbled the ball, we would have won that game. Stop it. It's always somebody else's fault. What's the old saying when you have one finger pointing at somebody else, you have 3 pointing right back at you? We can't do that because we'll get fined. Laura says, Buck is just a purple hater all the way around. I am. Alpha Rob says he's so annoyed with himself. Lamar Jackson annoyed with himself? Is that what you're saying about that interview? Neither did the media. They blamed Jackson. I mean, when you lose games, Alpha Rob, this is a quarterback-driven league. If Josh Allen would have thrown for 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and then the Buffalo Bills would have lost that game, all the blame would have been on Josh Allen. If Lamar Jackson would have thrown for 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, right? But he fumbled the very first snap of the very first play, the game. Like, oh, he fumbled the ball back in this play. It's all his fault. That's why the quarterbacks get paid. It's to take these falls, right? But Lamar Jackson, he is a man. Let's just be honest. He is a man, and men don't like to get blamed for shit. We can leave the toilet seat up. We can leave a big old honking steaming pile of turd right there on the floor. You can write your name and pee in the snow, and your wife like, did you do that? Like, no, it wasn't me. Right? Deny. It was their fault. It was their fault. And says he took accountability in the interview for his play. And when I listened to that interview, granted it was 10 seconds long, I did not see him taking accountability. I see him putting blame on other people. We were driving down the field and we fumbled the ball. We dropped the pass. We did this. Yes, you can take that interview any way you want. As a hater, you can say he was pointing blame on everybody else. As a Lamar fan, he's saying, yeah, he was taking blame. And I'm trying to be unbiased as I can. But when I hear that interview, and I understand he is upset. I understand they missed 2-point conversions. I understand he fumbled the ball through the interception. Mark Andrews had the fumble, and I get it. You are mad. You're emotional. But sometimes you got to say the politically correct answer. Yeah, we will bounce back and we'll do better. We didn't play our greatest game today, but you know what? we're going to do hard work in the offseason and we're going to get back and we're going to win this game. That would have been the correct answer. James says, I'm back on being the delusional Browns fan. I am where we're taking the Ravens out of playoffs next season. I say I told you all next season in December. It's January, buddy. Mark says, Henry only had 16 attempts. Definitely not enough. You're right, Mark. Only 16 is not good enough. He needed at least 25. Needed at least 25. My man Carson Lang says, I don't know what I missed out on, but Lamar ain't him. When the Ravens need a drive to get to the game, they looked the ball out of Lamar's hands and gave it to Henry. Yes and no, Carson. If you're referring to the third quarter, yes, Derrick Henry ran north and south for 60 yards, right? Was it 69 yards? Whatever it was. He ran the ball down the Buffalo Bills' throats. But with 2.5 minutes left, Lamar Jackson was throwing the ball. You weren't giving the ball to Derrick Henry. Pay the man. Pay the man. John says the Buffalo Bills and the Minnesota Vikings have high school championships. Yeah, about that. Mark says he has to deal with Mahomes, Allen, and Joe Burrow. It's going to be tough for him. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the AFC is loaded. We're going to talk about this more about CJ Stroud and the Texans coming up. But the AFC, honestly, there's 10 teams right now that can give you a run for your money. The Chiefs, the Bills. I'm going to throw in the Broncos up there. I'm going to throw up the Chargers. I'm going to throw up the Browns. I'm going to put up the Bengals. Hell, the Miami Dolphins, if they can figure out their quarterback play. Guys, the AFC is pretty loaded. AFC is pretty loaded. John says something Buck would say for 100, Alex. Jesus. Manning is the GOAT, Carson, my man, right there. Peyton Manning, Hall of Famer for a reason, baby. Brandon DeBrand says, can you answer my question? What is your question, Brandon? What is your question, buddy? Josh Stano says the Patriots going to sign Ron Stanley, trade for A.J. Brown, and draft Abdul Carter, calling it right now. Be prepared for the Patriots to come back in a few years. If that happens, there'll be bad news for the Eagles. Bad news for the Eagles. James says that's facts. Miles and the crew ain't going to let game like that happen again. Mark D says PFM. What does PFM mean? Patrick effing Mahomes, baby. Let's go, Mark. There you go. I'm glad you finally jumped on the bandwagon. About 3 seconds and 40 times. What are you guys talking about? Peyton was great. Peyton was great. Brandon says Lamar never said that. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Brandon? Let me bring up that interview back up here. Boom, right there. We will cut it to Lamar Jackson's part. This is Josh Allen praising everybody, right? There we go. Cut to Lamar here in a second.
Situations like this, turnovers play a factor. Penalties play a factor. Tonight, the turnovers can't have that, and that's why we lost the game. Because as you can see, we're moving the ball wonderfully. Is hold on to the ball. I'm sorry for my language. Annoying. I'm tired of.
So Brandon, what did Lamar not say? I'm asking for a friend at this point. That is directly from the post-game interview. He is still in his hood. He is still in his cold weather gear. His feet are still probably freezing at this particular point. What did he not say, Brandon? Jim says, on your head, clean your glasses. Man, these are brand new glasses. They're freshly clean, brother. Pepe says, Lamar is a great quarterback, right up until it matters. It's never going to happen for him. I agree. Hoffy will be joining me on today's after show, guys. If you are a Pigskin Pundit, we have a members-only stream talking about if Lamar Jackson is a bust or not. But Hoffy says Lamar Jackson is your ideal recess quarterback or men's football league quarterback. There's more to the NFL than just skill. Ooh, Hoppy with the facts, baby. Slow it down. And says, I hope that we get the same energy when Allen if he loses to the Chiefs because he ain't played that great against my Ravens. And as you are correct about Josh Allen, I think he only had 125 yards passing Actually, I think they only had 144 yards rushing total as a team. The Ravens outscored the Buffalo Bills on every aspect, passing, rushing, defense, special teams, whatever, right? But the Buffalo Bills came out on top when it did matter the most. Josh Allen has grown in front of our eyes. It was 3rd and goal. I believe the score was 23-14 at that particular time. They did a little tush push, and Josh Allen got stood up. James Cook was there. You thought Josh Allen was going to pitch it. I was like, oh, man, here we go. Highlight play, baby. But Josh Allen's like, nope, let me hang on to it. Let me take the sack. Live to play another day. They ended up kicking the field goal. Actually, that would have put him up 27, so it was 23, right? Or 24. So Josh Allen has improved, right? Josh Allen has led his team to this particular point. But yes, you are correct. If Josh Allen has a bad game, actually, no, not even if he has a bad game. If Josh Allen loses to the Kansas City Chiefs for the 4th time, 0-4 against them in the playoffs, he is going to get that energy, 100%. And Brandon says Lamar blames himself too much. I think that's what you are trying to say. And no, he does not blame himself at all. It's always somebody else's fault, Brandon. It is always somebody else's fault. And when he doesn't say it, you, the fans, Brandon, say, oh, we need a number 1 receiver. Myself and Wayne G had a discussion about this just a month ago. The Ravens don't have a number 1 receiver. But yet, when they're winning all this game, this is not a big deal. But the minute they start to lose, the minute this thing start to get a little bit tough, oh, they don't got this, and this. That is the problem with the Baltimore Ravens. That's the problem with the Baltimore Ravens fans. That's the problem with the Lamar Jackson. That is their problem, 100%, Brandon. You right there just triggered me because this is the problem with the Ravens. It's all hunky-dory until it's not. Oh, Lamar Jackson's winning us games. We don't need a receiver. We don't need Derrick Henry. We don't need this. We don't need the defense. Lamar Jackson's great. But the minute you guys lose, we don't have a number 1 receiver. Our coaching sucks. Our defense has been bad all freaking year. It's never Lamar. Hey, you know what? Maybe Lamar Jackson just played a bad game. If you guys would have said that, hey, that interception sucked. That fumble, he shouldn't have fumbled, right? We would have had a totally different conversation. But everybody in the comments, except for maybe Ant and then maybe a couple other, are like, oh, we need this, and this. Just stop it. That is the problem with the Baltimore Ravens. Just stop it. Stop putting them up on this pedestal. Omega said he had to turnovers first. No, he said we had turnovers, meaning Mark Andrews. Killer MC305 said the Baltimore windows has closed. I don't think it's closed. As long as you have Derrick Henry, and as long as you give him the ball, that window's wide open. Right? Window's wide open. Emotional damage. Hoffy says, let's remember when it was 1:30 left on the clock, Buffalo wasn't struggling offensively and very well would have put at least 3 in the wee bit like they left for 13 seconds on the clock for Mahomes. Bills should beat the Kansas City Chiefs so the rest don't cheat. Okay, here we go with that. Mark says Peyton Manning sucks. Mark, as a Broncos fan, you should be groveling from Peyton Manning's penis. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. But guys, let's talk about who actually won that game.